and how to use this fancy template that you get as part of the Teal Method subscription. The best trade that I like is going to be here, where you have a wick reject off of a line, or a wick reject off of a zone, or something like that. I like those. Those are nice. Right here we have a wick reject. Now, I'm not going to trade based upon solely based upon that. I'm going to wait for a follow-up candle, two follow-up candles. This is not really a good follow-up candle, but once the next green one starts forming, like right about here-ish, it starts forming more and more, then I'll go ahead and get in. So my entry will be about here. Stop loss is going to be here. You're looking at, what, about 6 points. So I think it's a pretty reasonable stop loss, bottom of the thing. We're going to start looking to get here. So here is your stop loss right here. And then you just continue on until you run out of steam. Run out of steam means you start getting doji, 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 and I'm out. You all know my policy. Doji, 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 and I'm out. It went a little higher here, but the minute you just start collecting dojis like Pokemon, like right here, I just go ahead and get the fuck out. So that's just me. All right, so wick reject of something, followed by a good follow-up candle. That's the best trade. That's one of the best trades. And that's the trade I'm going to do every damn time. Look at here. We have another example where we have a wick rejection, double wick rejection of a trend line that's going down through there. And that is just beautiful. So that was one of the trades that you had today. Let's look over here at gold. Also had a magnificent, one of those trades. Yeah, magnificent trade. And we literally have the same pattern as we had before. So it's not like a huge wick. Like the previous one had this massive wick and a body. So you're literally just wick rejecting the line. This one is more of a hug and go. So we're hugging it, and now I get a breakout candle. So I'm going to go ahead and enter on the breakout candle. I mean, I'm just going to do that, right? So, well, hug and go is what you had on gold today. I do like the hug and go. I'll take that anytime I can get it. But you do have to wait for kind of a breakout candle, or if you have to wait for it to stop consolidating, etc. But based upon all the bounces from here, you know that it's probably not going to just pierce this trend line, right? You got one wick rejection, two, three wick rejections. It's probably not just going to pierce this and go down. So once you get enough evidence or enough stacked candles in the direction that you want, go ahead and enter. Stop loss is under the next major thing, which is going to be here-ish, right? This is too big of a breakout candle. Let's say you entered here, stop loss would be the bottom of that candle type thing. All right, so that's another entry that I like. That's not as good as the wick. I'm not gonna lie, the wick rejection of a line and or zone is gonna be my absolute fave. It's gonna be there's really nothing that's gonna get me out of that, right? Because you have right here, you have another wick rejection of the zone there, and that is absolutely stunning. Definitely, 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 definitely take that. And then you have a nice breakout candle after that. Here's another wick rejection of a zone. Absolutely, we'll take that any day of the week. So that is the best one. So we save the best for first, because that is the absolute best one. And the funny thing is if you go down here to oil, you actually see the exact same pattern that we're looking at on ES on oil. So it's not, ES is not hogging all the fame here. We have the exact same pattern on oil today. You could have saw wick rejection off of a zone, and then we have a breakout candle start forming, and go ahead and enter as this is starting to form, right? All right, that's the best trade. That's the number one trade. Second best trade is a hug and go. And the trade that I like is a engulfing candle off of a zone. So here's your zone. we have an engulfing candle off of this zone. So we have a green candle that's kind of medium, and then we have a red candle going the other way that's bigger. So engulfing candle, both of them stop at the tip of the zone. So the minute I see this kind of pattern, we're coming out of the zone right here, I'd go ahead and enter here. So my stop loss would be the back of the zone, and my entry would be right here. So I'm going to enter as it sort of creeps out of the zone. And then that's going to be pretty easy stuff. You're talking like a couple of point stop. And these are great just because the stop is ridiculously and redonkulously small. All right, let's move to YM. We had action on YM today as well. Let's go ahead and show you that. You go down here, we have a wick rejection on YM. So today was one of those where it had my favorite trade just over and over and over. Wick rejection off of this trend line right here. And then obviously I'm not going to enter immediately, but I'm going to wait 1 or 2 candles, and there you go. That's a pretty good, right? Stop loss, going to be the back of this candle. My entry is going to be here. And then I'll go for what? I'll go for a 2 to 1. Go for a 2 to 1, maybe go for a 3 to 1. And basically, I'm just going to bail again after we start just printing doji, more dojis, which is right here. And I would bail the trade at that point. So, yeah. Here we have a wick rejection of a daily trend line right there. So we have a trend line. We literally are wick rejecting it right here. The minute I see some green, I'll let it form a little bit. And then right here would be my entry. And then stop loss would be here. Or you could do stop loss at the bottom here. Either way, like literally it's just going to just sort of go. Then I got a stop loss. I got an entry. So stop loss entry, go for a 2 to 1 on this one. And the minute it passes this next trend line and the zone right here, maybe I'll add, maybe I'll just let it keep going. And then you have this nasty mess up here. And I'd go ahead and bail somewhere at the top of this consolidation. Or maybe you have a runner, something like that. We're still on ES, engulfing candle, off of a zone. Once I saw this engulfing candle, I'd put my entry here. I'd put my stop loss at the back of the zone. Go for a 2 to 1 right here at this next zone, and then get some DLC as we go all the way down through here and go to the next zone. So at this point, I would start trading zone to zone. So I have a zone here, and I have a gap onto the zone over here. So zone to zone would be here to here. I'll trade that. The minute I see that we're going for the DLC for the next zone, I'd go ahead and keep it open. And then after we get a wick rejection, 2 wick rejections off of this zone here, I'd go ahead and bail, Go ahead and bail once I see the second wick start forming. Go ahead and get the fuck out. So you're talking 66.56 to 66.72. That's a hell of a move. Hell of a move. Another wick rejection. You know I'm going to do it. My number one trade is going to be here. Wick rejection. Number one trade, wick rejection. Number 2 trade is going to be this. So my meat and potatoes is going to be this and this. And the reason is because I'm not restricted to, let's say, ES. Also am doing YM, oil, gold. I mean, all of these have opportunities to throw up my number one trade. So why would I take seriously a number 2 or number 3 when I'm getting a shitload of number 1 favorite trades all over the place? So that's something. Maybe do the number 2, number 3 on a trial, and do the number 1 favorite trade on a paid. I mean, I could do that. So, but yeah, you have over here, we have a literal sell signal right here. And then we have engulfing candle off of the zone. I'd go ahead and enter. Entry would be here. Stop loss would be there. Go for a 2 to 1. So the take profit would be here. Obviously, leave a runner and capture the rest of this zone for literally the rest of the fucking day. So these things happen all day, all the time, every single fucking day. Again, I'm just scrolling back like 1 centimeter, and I have another number one trade on my screen. Number one trade on my screen. And it's just making just a fucking shitload of money off that. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I've scrolled, what? I've scrolled like 3 minutes, and I just get nothing but number one trades. It's just nothing but net at this point. Let's get back to the template. That'd be great. Oh, look at what I have again. Wick rejection, my number one fucking trade. And this thing goes for literally fucking forever. Let's look more. I have kind of a reject. That's kind of a shit. Wow, look at this. Number one trade here. Look at this. Wick rejection again off a zone. My number one favorite trade. The minute I see this red here, I'd go ahead and enter as the red is forming. So that's my entry. It's my stop loss. And then go for a 2 to 1. And that would be the take profit. And then obviously leave a runner. Or you can just switch to zone mode at this point and say, okay, we started way up there. We pierced this zone with no green in sight. So let's leave it open until we get to this zone down here. So again, you could switch to a zone trade and do that. Another wick rejection, another wick rejection, countless more here, countless more there. You get the idea. I could literally do this all fucking day. So there's that. Oh, look, another one here. So those are my number one, number two, number three trades. Here again. Number one trade. I have a good green candle. I got a wick rejection. Stop loss would be here. At the top of this little green right there would be my entry. And then we would go for a 2 to 1. And then have a runner for the remainder. Or we say, hey, we penetrated this zone with all green. There's no red in sight right around here. I'm going to go ahead and let it push to the next zone. And then we pierce this zone, maybe let it push to the next zone. You do you. I'm just telling you what my number one, number two, number three entries are. And this is on ES alone. Like, I scroll back 2 centimeters and I got entry after entry after entry after entry after entry. So, you know, I like it. This is why I like the system. And even better, I like these strong buy signals that you have here as we're coming off of a zone as well. Those are also big pluses. So that's how I personally read the template.